This is the Cathode Ray Podcast with Steve and Lewis.
Here, I have a good scenario for you. This happened to me the other night in our the comedy show's happening, right? And we're up in the sound lighting booth. So there's the light guys over there, and I've got the sound guy next to me. And the scenario is I'm going to play the show music off my laptop. And I've got my MacBook there, and then usually it's like you plug in with a 3.5 mil jack, right? The small headphone one. And usually most venues, it gives you that plug, you plug in, you play the music. I walk back in, this guy has connected his USB, interface directly into my laptop and just plugs it in. Now, is that polite? In polite society, do we just plug our own shit into someone's USB computer without asking them?
Wow. Man, that is a breach of especially if it's open and like unprotected, like you're setting it up and you come back in and somebody's got a foreign device actually connected into, and like you say, beyond the audio, like there is no way somebody has a device that I'm aware of to get in and like hack your system through the audio jack, like the old school
right
jack.
You can't
but a
do it, right?
USB-C, you're like, whoa, wait a second. It's like, dude, that's like similar to walking into the 90s and like you're at a house party and you leave this girl you thought you were having a good time with. And she goes off and like you go to the bathroom and you come back and some other dude's already taking your place and busy in the next room doinking her, and you're like, oh my god, man, what happened? I left for 5 minutes and now look at this. This is a complete violation of what I thought this night was going. Maybe a weird comparison.
My buddy used to have a saying, no chances. He's like, okay, if we're not walking home, let's take a taxi. No chances. No, like in a good way.
Yeah.
Oh,
no, I think that's over the line. I mean, it would at least give me pause to say, whoa, right? Is that how you felt? Like you might not say anything, but you're like,
yeah,
wow.
There was. And that's what got me thinking about like social cues for like USBs, right? Like I felt that, but I realized I've never really heard anyone spoken that out as a real social rule. Never stick your USB in someone else's computer without asking them. But it's kind of a rule, right? Or
yeah,
it's polite society. But this is the grumpy Russian sound guy, and he was extra grumpy today. And even the house coordinator lady, his boss, is like, yeah, he's the grumpy one. So you can be the grumpy Russian sound tech. So when he did that, I went, I'll let it slide. We don't need to mention this grumpy Russian
Don't you think? I mean, like I said, he was probably grumpy, like you said, trying to push your buttons to get into it with you. I thought that might do it, right?
Maybe.
Of course, it's the grumpy guy. It's not like the goofy intern who's just like,
Yeah.
ooh,
he's
like,
all right.
Not really like thinking. No.
Let me explain, Steve. Let me explain Russian grumpiness to you. This man was grumpy, right? But we all instinctively understood it's not at us. He's just grumpy. That's who he is. Not for a moment did I had presumed in this whole thing that he was grumpy at me. I'm like, no, that's who he is. So he was all right. I don't mind, I wasn't so upset with him at the time. I was just got me thinking about social rules, So I guess leave your thoughts in the comments. Like, how would you feel if someone just a totally random person or maybe someone you knew and you're like, hi, I just plugged my thing in. You're like, whoa, COVID, USB COVID. Come on.
Yes. It's like, whoa, you totally don't know, right, what you're being plugged into, right?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So all right, let's move on. So we'll just keep rolling into the episode here because can't really cut that story. It went down all right. So this is the next episode of the Cathode Ray Podcast. Steve and I've been traveling, been trying to catch up. Steve's been off to the convention. I've been around Europe. I've been doing work, but we're back here, ready to talk about our adventures, upcoming adventures. We got stuff going on. Steve, how you doing, mate?
I'm doing wonderful. Yeah, I wasn't expecting a great comparison to start off. But, of course, that's the great thing. We just hit record today and didn't have to worry about when to start recording. So, yeah, I've been great.
Just natural, Steve. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
The last couple of weeks have been fun. I really have missed the time and ability for us to make episodes.
Yeah,
but it comes and goes with us and our schedules right now. So, Yeah, I'd be.
We just try it whenever we can, whenever
right?
we get the opportunity.
But it's been a good last couple weeks.
Hey, Steve. First of all, can you move your camera downwards? You see how you like?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, give me a bit more of you.
You
I
want
want more of that Steve Lovin. Yeah, that's right. Then we're more even, and we.
Yeah,
see
now
full...
I'm too low.
Yeah, now you're too low, Steve.
All right,
okay,
Steve.
Too much Steve.
All right, well, keep going, and we'll get it situated.
There's the perfect amount of Steve to have, and that's what we need in the frame. Yeah, that's cool.
That's better right there.
That's perfect,
okay,
Steve.
There we go. Now I can see it. Technical difficulties, but
it's
we're there.
Good. Oh, that's a nice.
That's
look.
an easy one.
What's the shirt? Myrtle Beach.
Oh yeah. So this is one of those forgotten gem, like t-shirts from an HBO show back in the day for this character that was like this play off this really wild racist relief pitcher that pitched for the Braves and like went on these wild rants, and he was a relief pitcher and he was a real hothead in the 90s. And so they made like this whole spinoff with this guy, and his name was Kenny Powers. And so the name of the show is Eastbound and Down. And it was a few seasons, had some funny moments, but it's not really gone back to syndication because probably a lot of it is maybe too taboo anymore. I don't know.
It doesn't work.
It probably wouldn't get made anymore. So it was a really funny show, though. I this was a gift to me. So it's actual like one of the teams that this guy played on was a Myrtle Beach Mermen Little League team, or no, I mean sorry, minor league team.
Yeah.
And so that was where this shirt came from. So
okay, it's
nice. Just an old one. So surprisingly, I still have T-shirts from like 15 to 20 years. And I just
are they like you just not wear them a lot? Like
no,
so
actually I do.
Condition?
They just don't wear out. Some of them, like I'll buy these nice T-shirts and they won't last 3 months. And then I have this shirt, and it's like, why can't this shirt be killed off? You know, it's not even.
It's going to be the Costco shirt, the one that
that's
lasts
what it
you
is.
forever.
Like I woke up out of bed and this is what I slept in, so I throw the hat on because it actually matches the color scheme. So that's it.
So you didn't even get changed for this podcast.
What? I get changed. I don't have time for that. So I wake up.
Yeah, I got no time for that shit. I love it. You're a savage.
I got 2 youngsters, and I got to get up. I got to make them a lunch. And which is just a pain. They're like, "Oh, I like this, Dad. I don't like that. I like
right." Yeah,
and then I got to make sure they're out of bed, and then I got to get one of them to the school, and and then check this out. So this is something that started new for me this week, right?
Okay.
Lewis, I volunteered to be the head basketball coach of my 6th to 8th grade son's basketball team for this little season.
Good on you. Good on you, Steve Nutter. That's a good thing to do for your community.
Yes, so that's right. I always love giving back to the community. So that's that. But this is fun, hilarious, and. But
you're gonna have to though, Steve. Just fess one thing up to us. Did you put your name forward, or someone else put your name forward, and you said, "Okay, I accept"?
Well, I mean, there's a slight bit of an explanation as to why I volunteered for this. So. Last season, my son played basketball, and unfortunately, the guys who volunteered to be the coaches couldn't be, like the head coach guy, he was there like half the time. And so there were a lot of times where I was actually the only, I bring in my son there anyway, and I was staying at the practices with him. And I was the only parent. I'd be like one of the few parents there, and the coach wouldn't be there. And so it's like, well, if I'm going to be there anyway, I don't want him to have a coach again that was like that kind of. Wasn't able to donate the time, so I was like, I'll be there anyway. So anyway, it got to this season, and my wife, she's like, it's like a week before the season, and she says, I got an email saying they need a coach for this season. And I was like, well, are they sending that to you because that means our son's team doesn't have a coach? And she said, I think so. There's a guy that said he'd be assistant coach, but no head coach. And I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, I'm not trying to be I know how the game of basketball works, but I've never like played on even like a school team growing up. I played like City League a few years, and that was it. Nothing. That's just nothing else. Kind of the level that I'm coaching is what I've only ever played.
Okay.
So maybe that's a better thing but
That's all right, man. Like,
but
you just get them there.
so that's
You put 'em
like
through, I mean, what do you want? You put them through some drills. You jump up and down. You do some jumping jacks. You shoot the ball in the hoop. You run around a few times. That's practice, right? They've learned.
Yeah, so that just started. We had our first practice 2 days ago. So that was an exciting experience.
How'd it go? So what did you do in practice? What did you make the kids do?
Well, so anyway, I had to go through it. I went through and I went to this meeting where they showed me a bunch of stuff about what the league rules were and things and how to kind of approach it and not basically this whole speech about not to be the dick, right? Don't be the dick coach, right? That just like kill everybody's team and runs the like triangle offense, which is like the offense that the Bulls ran with Michael Jordan back in the day to dominate the NBA. So he was like, don't be a jerk. So then a little bit of training, and then I was sitting there like an hour thinking before the practice, and my wife's like, oh, a good idea is maybe just like try to come up with a plan and see how many minutes you want to allocate to each one of those. You got an hour. And I was like, oh, that's actually a good idea. So I sat there and I made a list. Like you said, I was like, all right, this is going to be 5 minutes of them just shooting warm-ups once we get there, getting loose. And then after that, I had a little introduction session where, everybody says hello, what's your favorite team, and make sure your shoes are tied. Because that's as like being I would always get pissed off when I was like watching the games and the kids would be fumbling around. They'd have to stop the whole game, and some kid would have to spend 20 minutes. And this happened like 5 times a game and tie their shoes. So I'm like, we're not doing any of that nonsense here. We're all going to have our shoes tied every game, every practice. So that was kind of how I started, and we went around with some introduction stuff, and then and then I had broken it down where I did drills for another like 15 minutes, and then I tried to talk about for like 20 minutes about offense, like an actual play style, getting them all set up on where they would be, and getting them an idea of spacing out as a team. And I mean, like I'm just going off this like 15-minute bad YouTube video that was made, that was given to me like to telling me how to do this, and it's like, oh my gosh. And so I get through and I'm like, am I even saying this right? Are you even listening to me? And so, but I think it actually went really well, surprisingly. And all the stuff timed out perfectly. They were out in an hour. Cool. And it was really good that my wife, I told her she made some great, the great advice there to do that. It made it a lot easier to have that ready than just because at first I was like, I'll just go in and do this and that, and I didn't really think about it. So that was so I went on Amazon. I ordered some coach whistles so I could blow the whistle, and I got like a clipboard where I could draw plays on. So that'll be here any day in the mail.
That's great, man. So okay, so you've had one practice session so far. Yeah, the techniques are kind of like, it was all right. I was okay. That's cool, man. I mean, that's like doing something for you. How does your son feel? Does he like think it's a great project, or is he a bit like, is he embarrassed for dad?
No, he's cool. He's right, he's a little bit more shy, but the interesting thing too is he's on the 6th grade. He's in the 6th grade, so he's like the second youngest kid on the team, and like the biggest kid, who's the assistant coach on my team, he's like up to my eye level, and I'm 6'2". So he's like 13 and 2/3. It gives me their ages. And so it doesn't give me like their exact age. It just is like 13 and 2/3 and like 11 and 1/4 and stuff. So that's the age range for the years. So there's a big size difference in them. But we actually got a good balance of size in kids. I got 4 big kids and 5 smaller kids, or same size, younger kids that are about the same size. So it's yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'll let you know how it goes. We've only got 2 more practices next week, and then we actually have our first game. So it's we're thrown right into the gauntlet there. And I'm already thinking, like, should I show up wearing like a suit to like this game? Wear like a suit, like an old dork,
just dress nice. Just
yeah,
dress
that's
nice.
right. Yeah,
I don't think you need to.
I know. I was just kind of kidding, but I'm gonna wear some flamboyant tennis shoes. I'll either wear my old school Reebok pumps. I've got some.
Okay, that's cool. Something like that. That's nice to show that you care, right? As well, you're there, you're working, and you got a thing.
So,
oh man, I like that.
So this will be an exciting thing to follow along here on the channel, and we'll see how this team actually does. I'll update all you guys interested. I
love it. This
in the 6th to 8th grade coaching style. We'll see what like trials and tribulations, because I'm already like planning things out, because I was watching last year, they're like, you get 2 timeouts a game. And I'm like, ooh, timeouts, man. I can't wait to use these, right? I'm like, when am I going to use? Because the guy last year never called one. I'm like, no, I'm calling. I'm using both these bad boys every game.
Sure.
And I don't know. And I'm like, yeah. And so it's a lot of fun just to think you get to play around with a little bit of strategy and stuff. And I'm really trying to make these guys get into the idea of team.
Okay,
I know it's weird, being that age too, and my son and we all just moved to this area about 1.5 years ago. So, I'm just trying to get them all, hey, build each other up more of and the only way we're going to be good is if we're all in this together. And really cheesy stuff, but I don't know what else. What else do you say, right?
It works. What else exactly? What else can you do? And it's nice. It's the thing, though, Steve. It's genuine, right? You're genuinely this it's fun, right? And you enjoy it, you like it, and you can see it, and that's I think the more important thing, because there's just so many. We've always had those coaches that are they're not into it and shit, or they're just going through the motions. And if you're enjoying it, they'll be enjoying it.
Yeah. So we'll just follow that along. But what?
I know, man.
I know. Outside of my coaching stuff, what has been shaking around Lewis's tree right now? I know we've got some things going on. We've got some travel that have happened, some travel coming up. Where do you want to start?
So the last 2 weeks I haven't been able to talk because I've been traveling. For the first week I was in Lisbon. I was hosting a small conference there. The thing is there's a really big conference called Web Summit on in Lisbon at exactly the same time. Huge, tens of thousands of people attending. And so there's other side conferences. So I'm the host only on the side show, not on the main event, but that's fine. But they still pay me to be there. So I was in Lisbon for a few days, just hosting a conference there. So they pay for a nice hotel, and stuff. And then, since Saturday, I was doing a comedy tour. So there's a comedian, Daniel Sloss. He's got some specials on Netflix you can check out. And he's been often to our region. And he's really cool. Comes with his friend. They put on great shows. And we sold how much? We sold 800 tickets in Tallinn, 600 in Tartu, 2,000 in Vilnius, and another 600 tickets in Riga. So they fly into the country, and then we have to take them to the venue. There's some people putting up some gear in the backstage, the tech guys, and there's a little bit of a walk-on music. So you got to and I'm running the sound, like I was saying, the venue the other night, I'm running the sound cues. So I've got to call the show. So I'm all right, turn on those lights. I stop some music, turn on the other lights, start some music.
So are you up in a sound booth whole time during these shows?
For the most bit, there's only just some small cues at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
And then the comedian's on, and then it's done. So just looking after that. So man, that's it's some kind of been on the road, and day after day, your whole day is drive to the venue, set up the venue, do the show, finish the show, and then do it all again the next day and the next day. So that was between some cities. So I drove to Riga and then back again. Man, it's nice. I it's fun because those comedians are really easy to get along with and really cool, and we know what they want, and so everything's covered. And as long as it's bringing someone around. You're touring them, right? My day is to make sure they get around and make sure they get from one city to the next city, to make sure that they get into their hotel, to make sure that then they get to the venue on time and they understand everything they have to do. So I have to manage them, because the idea is the artist should have to think of nothing. And the artist just shows up when they're told to show up, and everything else is done for them. And I get it, right? Because
well, you want them to concentrate on, like you said, that's a ton of tickets that are sold. If the artist comes and is busy concentrating on some minute detail,
no, they don't want to be worried about that shit.
Right? They don't.
Now the opposite is some maybe there's some diva kind of thing, right? Can happen. Absolutely. Yeah, maybe they want too much or something.
But no diva stuff this weekend.
No, easy.
Or this last
easy,
couple weeks.
Yeah, so it's fun. They're good boys. Daniel Sluss and Kai Humphreys are the guys. They're really easy, really happy. You get them a couple of drinks, get them a bit of food, and they're good to go again. So, man, we're just doing that. So I'm just back at home again finally now after some days doing everything.
So no real, like, when you run around and travel like that, you didn't get any really opportunities to do anything outside of working the whole time? Is there anything?
Wait, I did, because when I was in Riga, everywhere I go, I browse Facebook Marketplace, and I found the Xbox 360 steering wheel from a guy there. Wait, it's in the background. I'll get it now.
Oh, I think I see it. Is it that? Yeah, that silver and black one. Oh, I've got a good story about these wheels.
Yeah, we can do a good old-fashioned Cathode Ray Podcast show and tell.
That's a cool one.
So yeah, it's in the front there. Looks cool. It's Microsoft, like, got that same styling as the original Xbox.
Yeah, I like it.
So
the same battery pack? That's funny.
It's the same battery pack. So the deal with this, and it's a bit cracked there actually, but
yeah.
I got it kind of cheap. So the deal with this is force feedback. One of the very first force feedback wheels, and like official Microsoft, one of the only ones, right? So if you just use the battery pack, then you only get just like regular controls. And if you want force feedback, you got to plug in a wire, DC 24 volt. Oh my God. I had to order it from AliExpress because it's 24 volt 1 amp. I'm like, what the fuck? Once has that. So AliExpress, it'll be here in a few weeks, and then I can finally play force feedback on that.
So, and where did you find that?
In Riga, in the suburbs of Riga, Latvia.
Wow.
We finished the show. I dropped the guys at the airport, and I'd already hooked it up that I'd been, like, because you can change the city on Facebook. So I was changed the city a few days before, check out what's going around, maybe write to people and be like, yo, I'll be available Monday afternoon. Would you have a time that I could come Monday afternoon? And they're like, okay. And then I go meet them. So
how much what'd you get that one for?
$30.
Oh, nice. Man. See, when I was at the convention, there was a guy, and he had all kinds of the Thrustmasters, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But, I mean, his price tag on them was like 60 and over.
Yeah.
And I was just like, he's like, I'll go down on him. I don't want to drive with him home. And I'm like, man, still, I just didn't even want to really mess with him either, because I was like, this is a big thing to kind of take back and to pay so much
I think
for. He had a lot of different ones.
A little bit of research first. There's not that many brands of wheels. And because I was doing all that research before I bought the Thrustmaster T300. There's not that many wheels out there. Like, just do a little bit of research and you'll pretty quickly find out, you know, whether this guy's wheel is the one for you.
Man, yeah. Woo. I saw a pretty rare item at the show, and then we'll get back to the trip. But just that was So there was one booth at the convention that was from a few states away, because I asked them where they came from, and they had just this unreal inventory of super rare stuff. That they had a really clean CDI console, and it was a bundle with all the accessories, and it had a SCART cable, and I was like, what's up with that? And he's like, oh, it's a PAL version. Wow. And okay, and it was, but it's like the price was $800.
Yeah. Okay.
And then they also had a Vectrix, and I saw the Vectrix, and I was like, oh, you have a Vectrix. Do you care if I come closer? And I'm like, well, I'm at the show. I got this GoPro, and I strapped the thing to my chest with this chest attachment. So I'm just walking around, right, with this GoPro. So anyway, I look at this thing, and I think it's $250. I get closer to it, Lewis. There was a 1 in there I didn't see. It was $1,250 for the Vectrix.
What was the condition, would you say, of the Vectrix?
I mean, it wasn't like it was in a box. It was in fine, like, working condition, okay? And it did come with, like, a folder of the games and overlays. He said,
how would you, was it all new, almost new, quite used?
No, just like, I mean, normal used. Like, I wouldn't call it anywhere near, like, mint or anything. Sure. It was not even, like, super cleaned up. It wasn't turned on, so I don't know how it looked. But it came with a folder full of stuff, which I understand. But, yeah, dude, I don't know who... I just don't know who's coming there dropping no one did, of course, that I saw drop $1,200 on it, but I was a little bit blown away. I was about to think it was like $250 maybe as a deal, but then I was like, what the heck? So
because at that end, when you're working at that end of the market, there's only a few people, but they will just want to spend $1,000 because they can, because the money's not an objection. So there's always, in any market, there's always someone working at the very upper end. And I was going to be like, okay, if they're really high-end examples of that, then maybe their thing is they've got like, so you see some sellers and they only have a few items and they're amazing items. And they're like big ticket sellers, right? They're better at handling that big stuff. But
so, I mean, the thing is there's ones available that are working that, like, I found one here that's in a cleaner condition shown to be working. And I mean, it doesn't come with all the games and accessories. I don't really, that's the hard thing, is you'd have to sit there and go through all those and see if those are actually possibly worth it. Maybe at some level it is a deal because there's like a game in there that's impossible to find.
Okay, beyond some X factor, right? Beyond some surprise.
But there are a couple on here for the $500 range. Okay. So half that on eBay. So it's not like, and that's shipped, $500 shipped, right? And I don't understand, and you get into some bundles with games. I mean, you can find a boxed one for $750. So this one didn't have a box. So, I mean, how can you? There's a you understand? There's a markup sometimes, maybe for a really clean item. Like it wasn't as clean as the CDI. Like the CDI was really clean looking. Sure. But this one was not. So I don't know.
So, but on the other hand, if these people just someone must be buying that. Otherwise, how are they staying in business? Like, what's up with that? So
this is an incredible transition to something I have been watching this morning.
Please.
Oh, my gosh. So there's some guy. His name is Miz. He's like a streamer. Miz Kiev or something. Anyway, I don't know what his full name is, but
okay.
So I got to send a clip about how the market is just crashing and crumbling on these retro graded video games that were selling for an insane amount. Like a year ago, it was from the CU podcast, which is Pat the NES Punk.
Yeah.
So there's a little segment on there where he's following the sales, and it's all based. So the whole thing got me down this rabbit hole of watching this guy who had like bought all these games, and there was a recent Heritage auction where they auctioned off the same level the games he had invested in, and he was like basically shitting himself on his stream because his whole stream was built up about buying these expensive games, and the Heritage auction was going, and these games were going for like $6,000 to $15,000, and so like during this whole streaming period, they said based on his show, he had lost like $200,000. Because he had been like buying these games, like certain games he bought 1 month ago, and then they like dropped like 60% in value in 1 month, and he's like, like shoving a book in his face, like doesn't know, and he's got a pretty big following. He's got like 800,000 subscribers on YouTube, mostly a Twitch thing. I had never heard of it, but I mean, it was just an incredible thing to see because it's so insane to me, like. That people thought these were, I mean, and they were showing examples where these things had sold literally a year last summerish for peak market at like 100 and gosh, the stupid like highest graded boxed N64 version of Super Smash Brothers. Like it went at one point for $115,000 and it sold at this auction for like $14,000, like the same grade quality. And this is not eBay auction. This is Heritage auctions, which is like one of the most reputable auctions. I mean, you could get in there and say something, but this is not like that. This is like stuff is going like this is like wholesale pricing. But even to me, coming from even a graded perspective, these prices sound a little nuts still at these high levels in the thousands almost to me.
It's nuts. Okay. So the question is, what situation is that seller in then? Are they trapped maybe? Maybe as a reseller they bought and they've got to like just fucking hope that someone buys at that price so they can recoup their money? You know, they shitting themselves? So
I was thinking about that a little bit more, like what's the actual situation here, right? So this guy probably bought these things, and then what has happened is, like the guy on Reserved Investments kind of talks about a lot of these things have hit the grading market where Originally, for a year, there's not a lot of them on the market, right? The initial wave of these new things.
Yeah.
And then a lot of them, like people go find these items out in the wild and then all submit them to grading while they see them at $150,000, right? So what happens is now you've got all those have finally come back a year later to somebody who submitted them for grading, and they're like, here you go. Here's your graded copy of this game. That person goes, yes, I can finally sell it on Heritage Auctions and make all this money. So maybe that person is only in like $10,000 on this investment and does make $4,000 at the end of the day or something. But the guys who people are getting burned are the morons that paid these hundreds of thousands and $30,000 and $50,000 for these games last year, and are just taking a full nosedive on money. It's almost like crypto stuff. It's like the cryptocurrency crap. People are like losing everything that they thought they had. Yeah. It's just an insane time.
Is it just me, or does it sound like a crash has to happen in video and in all old nostalgia type things? So go with me. So the price goes up and up. It's getting pushed up and up, and it'll get beyond its natural level because it's been artificially inflated. And then at some point, it gets worth so much, like you said, that it starts bringing the other ones out of the woodwork. So all of a sudden, it's worth so much money that's motivating enough for everybody to be like, oh shit, I have one of those. And so you're saying many more of those things come to the market then because people are like, yeah, it's worth that much. I'm going to cash it in. And then all of a sudden, you've got this second wave, which then decreases the value because now so many of them are on the market. So it's got to go up to level out, to pull out all of the ones from grandma's storage room to get them on the market. At some stage, it'll be hot enough to pull out everything, or only very few left, right?
Right.
And then it crashes.
And then it crashes because, like you just alluded to, so here's what happens. Like you say, there's still chances out there that you could go around and find like a sealed copy of these video games, especially an N64 game, okay? Like those were not like low production numbers, a lot of them. So the ones that are boxed, it's kind of a silly thing to think would have always held such a high value.
Yeah, there's so many
it's being it's and it's again once it goes from there being 10 of those to all of a sudden like 1,000 of them get sent in to be graded. And then there's 100 that are at this high level instead of just 10 or less. And the market is flooded. At the same time, people now don't have this extra money coming in. They're not just blowing money on assets. Everything's dipping as an asset class, and especially collectibles, especially video games. So if you've been like sitting around waiting for a time to pick up, I'm not joking about this actually. This is a good thing. Like if you're interested in trying to find some of those items that you've been wanting and you have extra money, there's things that I'm not saying all the prices have come down a lot enough on some items, but there are things coming for sale that I've never seen for sale.
I say hold off. Yeah, if you're thinking about buying something now, I think hold off in general.
6 months from now, we're going to be going through fire sales of things.
Yeah.
Where some people are going to be stretched too thin, unfortunately, that I believe we are going to have a lot of these items. Like right now, I've seen, like, been getting sent messages on Twitter about, hey, have you seen this sale? And one of them was the Dreamcast CRT. That's one of those actual CRTs with a built-in Dreamcast.
Dang.
And the problem is, of course, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And the seller wants $1,000 for the broken thing. And I'm like, I mean, whatever. But at the same time, like, wow, so there's one that shows up. Because I know that stuff like that is very limited on the number of production.
Sure.
And that's actually something that is more rare. And like,
and that's interesting because that's a truly rare piece.
Right.
Because it's all part of it, that's truly rare. They're really not so many. So even if you got it, even if it was halfway and there was a video about restoring it with any replacement, look, this part was absolutely broken and completely gone, so I replaced it with a modern solution, blah, blah, blah. And there's the video in that, like, and you get a video out of it, and then that would be...
There's not... Well, this is good. Like, there's not. I'm almost there. Like,
Okay.
I know it sounds crazy,
Uh-huh.
but I'm trying to get things where I can get to that point where with my channel I can go and spend $1,000 because the video pays for that. Now, I know this might sound crazy that people listen to this channel, but I'm really like trying, and like, I mean, there's things I actually signed non-disclosure agreements with a advertiser, like for an advertisement coming up, and I can't talk about specifically on it, but this is like the coolest advertiser's deal I've ever seen.
Sure.
Like, it's from a big company, and they just want me to share an article they've written, like promote an article, and it's not anything you have to pay. It's relevant to, you know, my community and the things that I talk about, and it's just like, hey, this is the you know, the deal, which is the normal kind of advertisement for a video, but it's not even like, hey, buy this product, right, or something.
Sure.
It's
That's
something
nice.
really
That
cool
suits you.
that's like,
That's
right.
great.
So it's I feel like it's a win-win. Anybody who goes and reads it's going to be intrigued by the art, you know, when they read. It's not like something. So I was excited because that's really the first probably official deal that I've ever signed. And so I've got this video that I've been saving for it. And I've actually got to submit the draft to them next week for it, or the actual video I'm going to make. So hopefully one day that like that can push the needle where things like that, if that goes well, then yeah, I'll be able to go, okay, you know, this will make a good video. I mean, there's always something that if you had a better budget, it would be awesome to have the time and the money to do this just incredible dream stuff. And hopefully, you know, maybe that'll happen.
Cool, man. And I think you're doing all right with the sponsors thing. The thing that I think I've learned about sponsors is everyone with a sponsor, of course, wants to get all the money that they can, right? And everybody is always like, you know, I think with the sponsor deal, it can evolve along the way. Like, if it worried at first, like, oh, am I getting too little? Am I selling myself too short? How much is the right amount of money? Better to build up a good relationship with them and then work it out over time rather than have some shitty sponsor that you just ask for more money from. Can you build a good relationship with them? I think is valuable to you as well because you're new to this. You know, in time you get more experience, then you'd be like, okay, we've got to ask more and more. But at first, good relationship with a sponsor, I think will really educate you.
Yeah, it's definite. Well, and up to this point, there's been other things where I've been offered things that have like almost been worth the time. And mostly, you know, until I think you could get a lot of offers from these things. It's like review this product and say something good about it. And I don't even like usually respond to those things. And even even some big companies ask me like, oh, if you have a project where you can use our services, I'm like, well, this isn't even really something that, you know, I'd have to go out of my way to try to make up some project to use your services. So no offense, but
you don't use that thing.
I don't have any, you know, I'm not just here trying to make videos to make all these sponsorship videos. So I just don't even bother with it. But this one was a lot different. And like I said, it's just a one-time deal. So it's good. It's just like, hey, this happens. Let's see what happens. And things have been going really positively the last month on the channel. So that's going to be it's a good timing for this because they actually negotiated with this before I had like any of the views I've had on the last few months worth of content.
Yeah, it's been going great for you, man, recently.
Yeah,
like,
it's
really
like ridiculous. So
is there something, what would you say have you yourself changed recently? You just lucked it out
secrets.
or...
The
secrets, yeah.
The
what are the secrets?
It's called edging. It's called edging YouTube, Lewis. This is the secret moment everybody should listen to.
Okay,
secret
Steve's edging
sauce.
advice.
Yeah, right. So,
all right, edge me.
First off, after I know that like we've been talking about this, but I knew that my thumbnail game was always lacking. So the help with Mason has been able to help transform my channel into something I feel like is more marketable for sure, and more of a it's got more of a look of something that's beyond what it has been, I feel like. I mean, that's what I've kind of been hoping and investing to, and I was nervous about it at first, but I feel like it's been obviously better as it's gone, and that's just been a couple months now. So there's that side of trying to rebuild that and get that structure in place with him. And then I was been intrigued a little bit. I got this video about a month ago, and it's from a larger YouTube channel. It's like the Spiffing Brit. And he was talking about something called edging the algorithm in YouTube to get like more views. And I was like, what the heck? And I tried to watch this video, and it's very difficult for me at first to understand what he was kind of explaining. But it was going to it involved using the Premiere feature of the video. Okay. And I was like, well, my video normally comes out at this time. I looked at the analytics of my channel, and it said most of my audience was on this online watching my content. You know, the biggest chunk of them were on Saturdays at between 12:30 to like 6 p.m. my time.
It tells you that, yeah.
So yeah, it tells you that. So you was like, okay, and then so I just started scheduling my premieres around that time, and I did it 3 times in a row, and then I got every time I would notice I'd be like, you know, hey, come hang out at the premiere. Here's the premiere. And I would have, like, the first time I had like 50 people show up. Then the next time was like 80. And then the last one was over 100 at the premiere. And so the third time I did it, I got reached out to by a friend of mine who he makes videos on a different completely topic. And I don't really want to out him because he was, you know, I always see him doing stuff, and he's grown his channel like from a channel that was a couple thousand ahead of me about the same time as me. We kind of like talked to each other just in comments early on. Sure. And he's blown up to where he has like 250,000 subscribers, 300,000 subscribers in his genre, which is like anime review, like old school lost anime, Japanese anime review and stuff like that. And so he noticed me doing this stuff with the premiere. And then he's like, man, before you like, he's like, you need to try this trick called edging. And this is the third one. He's like, he just sends me, like, we DM each other every once in a while. And he's like, I see you over here. Try this edging thing. Cause like I did it and it really helped. And so the edging thing was like, he's like, watch this video, and he click on it. And it's the video that I watched from the Spiffing Brit. And I'm like, okay, well, I know I've gotten like 60% of this down, right? Because I'm doing the premieres. And I think another thing about it, Lewis, was the fact that I was doing the premiere at the same time. You know, my videos, I normally would try to get them out around the same time every time. And I was like, well, let's just try to get them on a solid this Saturday. And I was doing everything I can now, and I'm trying right now to get things done to have a video every Saturday premiere at the same time for like a month so far.
Okay.
Right?
All right. Okay.
So it's building up each time as doing this. So finally, he's like, try this edging thing. I was like, what the heck does this even mean? So I was watching this video, and it finally clicked with me what happens, okay? So as a creator, and like, as a creator, you can go in and you can set your video, you know, to go premiere, right? Yeah. And it gives you the option. It says the video goes premiere at this time, you know?
Yeah.
So the idea behind this is, all right, so here's another thing that I didn't talk about how I did my premieres. I did my premieres where I would set up where I would only give notice maybe 3 to 4 hours before each premiere went live. I didn't like do the premiere like days before or even one day before. It was literally 3 hours because that's like the most time you get push. Okay?
Right,
So it wasn't like put the premiere out and then wait for it to push. The other thing is in the premieres now, during that premiere period, I found out that you could add the trailer feature, which is like a trailer feature is just another video you can add to the beginning so that when somebody clicks on that and sees a premiere, it automatically plays a trailer. It can be a section of the video, or like I figured out, I'm making new videos for a trailer, right? So that's what I did by this last one. I was like, I always added a trailer. When I found out, I was like, that's a cool feature. I'm going to start using that. So I've been using that for these 3 videos, and then it's like now this edging trick. So up to this point, again, that's what I had done. Just 3 hours before the video was going to be released, I would put the premiere, I'd have the trailer, and then this would happen. So I was like, well, I was talking to my friends. He's like, the idea is to try to get like a lot of likes when it goes premiere so that YouTube, you know, just gives it a larger exposure. Like you're not actually getting like views. What you're getting is impressions, which is the amount of times you're scrolling past YouTube and it shows your impression is your thumbnail, right? And your video. So impressions. That's what they're doing. They're showing more impressions to just people scrolling through YouTube.
Okay.
And if it gets clicked and your video like maintains it, then that's how it starts to get rolling. Like you're actually getting some promotion. The problem is like right after the first hour of the video going live, the promotion starts to trickle down, and then it just goes through kind of its normal wave of whatever happens on your channel with your content. So you're only getting that push. It's really extreme in the last hour of before it's going premiere. Okay? Think about it. So and the hour that it actually is premiering.
Okay.
So the edging idea is you get to the last hour when YouTube is starting to push it, and then you hit that like 10-minute mark, 15-minute mark, somewhere in there, and YouTube gives, as a creator, gives you an option to basically delay your stream.
Okay.
So you can then delay it for another 20 minutes, and it's giving you 20 more minutes. And like, so people, the guy on the Spiffy Brit did that with a live stream, and he kept doing it for days till he got 60,000 people in a live stream by just not ever releasing content, constantly having a thumbnail that met. Like he did it to the max. So he took and pays like a company to give him popular hashtags. So he attaches all those and makes it like a trendy kind of thumbnail that matches the thumbnails that are getting a lot of clicks at the time. So it's like high level YouTube stuff. Like you're going and you're like, so you're seeing there's an actual formula where a lot of people will mimic each other's thumbnails of the highest creators, not exactly copy it, but take it and make their style of it. That's why a lot of them go in these waves, right? So that's one aspect of it. And then you also, so you match a thumbnail, you put the key hashtags, you put a title that matches the highest algorithm searches, and then you keep delaying this stream as it gets closer and closer. And it's called edging because you're edging the end. And then your YouTube just keeps sending out more and more. You know, you're blossoming through these hours of this long thing. Now, while I was doing it, I didn't want it to seem like, you know, I only did it that part this last time, and I only delayed it like one time, 20 minutes or 15 minutes.
Because then otherwise you might be rude to some people who are hanging out.
But then I was thinking, because I was talking to my friend, I was like, yeah, I did it. And it did. I mean, it helped my channel. Like I had a thank you to anybody I know that's watching this that did help me. So what I did for that video is like, I'm going full out on this one. I'm going to try. And so I made a preview for it. It was about the FW900. I made a little bit of a preview for it where I said, hey, you know, please hit the like button before the video goes live in 3 hours and, you know, help me so this will get the reach. And I'm passionate about it. I'm like, so that way everybody on my channel will get an opportunity to see it. And that did work. So then I was able to use that like momentum, and it got it to where it was like 180 likes before the video when actually premiered, which was awesome. I couldn't believe it. And then, you know, you pin a comment asking if you think that, like, do you guys think that this will get beyond 100 likes before it goes premiere? Now, I didn't want to make, like you said, the other thing I was concerned about is, like, you know, the audience. What are my hardcore good audience that's there? I don't feel it's fair. So I was talking to my friend. I was like, well, here's the way we get around this, and just let everybody know this. We're trying to, you know, do the best we can, but we do not want to, like, alienate our audience or make them feel bad. But at the same time, if there's something like this that's going to help us freely use these kind of tools to get a little bit better of a push on the channel, I feel like that's fair game. It's not like we're breaking any rules or breaking any terms of services. So I was like, in my premiere or my trailer, when you click on it, I say this video is going to premiere at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, no matter what the countdown says. Don't worry about that. It's going to be this time. Be ready for it then. And I'll see, you know, that's the whole thing. And then just put the premiere to set at like noon. And then and then try to edge up to the hour up to that and see if that works. I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's like, funny. Give it a go, man. Yeah, it's interesting.
That's an interesting. So I don't know. I mean, I also don't want to. So I'm probably not going to push the edging hard this week because I'm trying to push it to just get this video out about the convention this week. And then what I want to do is really try to push it for the video after that, which will be the sponsored video, which again is going to be an awesome video about a super rare, super amazing CRT that I'm not going to reveal yet. And so that's here and that's ready, and that's what I'm going to start working on after I finish up this convention video.
Yeah, right on. I guess you got this technique as well. Choose the video, like the right content for this to use this technique. I wonder, I mean, how long has this been going on? This almost sounds like a loophole, doesn't
Yeah, it is.
YouTube
And it's
eventually
based,
catch
yeah,
on
and that's what I think that happens in these algorithmic updates. But I think that
Yeah.
it's such a change to the algorithm. It's not something that's easily done immediately. So I do think that there will be some big update that will stop this. And that's kind of like what we were saying. Is it really working for us? Or I mean, at the same time, I think it's a perfect storm of us maybe getting better at what the videos that I make. I don't know. I'm trying to make, like, I noticed too that, like, since I've done this a little bit, I don't know what maybe the outside of like viewpoint coming in, but I'm trying to make like the videos that I'm doing more mass appeal, more like less lose your attention span kind of videos. And I don't know if it comes across or even feels that way, or like
I can see that
whatever.
trend in what you're doing. Sure, I can see that bit by bit. But I think also, like, you've done a lot of those as well. You know, you've done a lot of service videos. There's already a lot. You've done your part. If people would be like, well, we like Steve's long ones, they'll still always be there. But also, like,
right,
you got quite a back catalog of efforts in this field.
Well, and I know, look, I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of people in the electronics, like YouTube field, that are excellent at doing, you know, long style tutorials and things like that. And I don't mind doing that, but at the same time, I don't know. I feel like that is just not the approach that I'm at least for right now. And I don't promise that I can do that.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's
you
fine.
don't have to make the same stuff all the time.
Right.
You can go through phases. You can change your mind, do something different. I think it's good that your channels go in this direction. That's nice. This is entertaining content, and like, wouldn't it be good to, you know, you got to go somewhere. What else otherwise are you going to do? Just talk to the same 200 nerds? Like, no, you got to.
Well, this is all coming to the realization, too, that like I'm looking at the finances for my business, because this is the first official like full year where I've been trying to grow it.
Oh, yeah.
And I see growth, and I see, you know, revenue coming in, but at the same time, it's nowhere like I'm looking at houses, and it's like nowhere near, you know, I mean, I like a level of income to support high interest rate mortgage on a really house right now. So it's the same time, it's like you're trying not to be demoralized, but because it's very fortunate that I get to do all this stuff, but at the same time, it's not like I don't want to give off the impression that this is some kind of extremely lucrative thing happening here, right? It's all
no, how could it be? You're self-employed. You're hustling for yourself.
I got a family.
You got a family, and you make it happen. Like you're goddamn box TV repairman, Steve.
Right? Yeah,
you're killing it, and you're making a life for your family. That's great. I think people can't like.
At the same time, I wonder, what am I even thinking? Like, how?
What is this guy
I?
getting rich off? What the fuck are you talking about? What sort of mansion do you think is the CRT mansion?
The wood grain free house that I don't have to pay for. That's the only reason it's working
my God,
right now.
Steve,
So.
what are you doing? No, you're
But
cool, man. We're happy for you. Happy.
But that's just a little bit of a runoff there. We just went off the rails a little bit on our discussion.
Yeah, wait.
About YouTube, right? I mean, we just went off on the whole, like, I wasn't
fine. It's
even
a good talk about. It's a good talk about the growth of your channel. I feel the growth of your channel. I know. I feel the growth of your channel. I can see it happening, and it's cool, man. And I think it does all those little things help with Mason and the thumbnails.
Yeah.
I because it almost I guess I don't know. Maybe we haven't been explicit with this. We're almost dancing around the idea that when Steve does 20-minute, 30-minute teardowns, he's more legit, more hardcore. But when you do 10 minutes about the FW90, then it's more mainstream and connotations of mainstream. And no, I think we can have both of that in there.
Yeah, I mean, a little in that it's not, and I also want to be encouraging to like anybody who's making content too that's like staying in it. I mean, at the same time, I can still see where like, I mean, I feel like it's criminally underrated your channel because I love your style and your videos, but I know that, you know, continuing just to do things and sticking with it for the first, like, that's what it basically is. I don't think
it is.
I don't
absolutely.
think. I mean, my channel wouldn't have this opportunity if I hadn't been doing like crap like this for years already.
A long time. You've been doing it for a long time. I absolutely understand. You just got to plug away at it, right? Consistency is, I think there are going to be those who have high rises and all that, but just for most people, just be consistent. Just keep on going and just put the time in. You've put the time in. So yeah, I'm cool, baby. I'm putting the time in.
Yeah, that's the truth. Like I just love, but I love watching it. I love watching like the progression and like things too about like kind of with everybody almost in our community too. Though I don't want to. I mean, I love it absolutely being so close, and then I feel like it's interesting because we've gone past this whole year point almost with the show, just past it, and like we were, just a year ago getting started on this idea for this podcast, and now it's like I can't believe how much you always have these aspirations that maybe things will go a certain way, and they still don't always seem to feel like the way that in reality what's happening. But at the same time, I feel like it's been a huge like beneficial blessing for us both. I mean, I know me personally, just to be able to do this and actually be a year later and see what's become of it, and like the whole community around it. And I feel like I don't know what it's going to be at a year from now. I hate to put expectations on stuff.
I think it's fun, man. I like doing these podcasts like this, and I guess for me, like if I didn't have this podcast, then I guess also thanks for you for suggesting that we do a couple more of these, and not just the one of them, right? Like certainly I would have. I think what I have to say. Some of the things I've been through, I might have given up. I don't know. You can't guarantee, right? But for me, the podcast was always there as something to do and to keep on going, right? And talk about something. And even if you don't have the time for a formal video, it's still nice just to have a talk, right? It's still nice to have a conversation. So yeah, you got to get that across. So I'm thankful to you. I've hitched my wagon to the Nutter train, and
yeah, now you're stuck.
Right, now we're here. Now we're chewing along and everything. And I'm good. I'm happy. I can't deny it. Of course, you have a nice, as well as being a great podcast partner, you have a significantly larger following than me, and that helps me. Steve's on the podcast, so right on. And cool. So I like it too, man.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it just keeps going, and like we could keep, because I mean we're too. This doesn't sound cheesy, and there's a lot of people that are really good in the community behind the scenes, but I feel like I know that people probably. It comes across that we're just genuine and about we're talking and what we are, our conversations together. It's highly not scripted and manufactured at this point. Like even today, we haven't talked in a couple weeks, and we just hit record and started going. We didn't even bother too much about structure because we knew we'd get to this point where an hour in, and
we could just
we've already buzzsawed through a lot of cool things that we weren't even seeing.
Well, that's true. I guess, yeah, we just sort of go from topic to topic and to drill in. But, where to go? I'll tell you what I've been thinking about. I'm going to just jam us off in the other direction then.
Okay.
An hour in, here it is. So my big thing is in 30 days, not that I'm counting, I am going to Japan for 3 weeks. So on December 12th, I'll arrive, and I've got about 3 weeks. I come back just January 5 or something like that. I'm super stoked about it. I'm super pumped. Like loads of people in the community, a lot of people are waiting to go back. It's been 3 years since I was there. I was there just before the pandemic, and it's what got me through those pandemic days, and we're all locked down, and we're like, oh my God, you can't see another person or you'll die. And you just had to be locked away. I sat down every morning and started thinking about like all the adventures in Japan. So yeah, it's finally, after all this time, coming back. I've got a week in Tokyo. I think I'll do a week in Tokyo. Then I'll go down to Osaka. It's very close to Kyoto. And then back to Tokyo. And the whole time, all I want to do is look at hard-off stores. There is enough of them that you can basically hit them all day long.
When you say that, it sounds like a dirty old video porn shop or
funny,
something, doesn't it?
Hard off. They're so good. There's
so excited.
There's a whole chain of them. There's there's liquor off. There's mode off. There's liquor off.
There we go.
These guys are great, dude. And there's loads of them. I'm hitting like 4 or 5 a day. I'm traveling around, and there's good stuff in them. And I'm looking forward to sending a lot of pictures back. I'm looking forward to seeing what games, what's the latest trends. I suspect now we're going to be seeing like PlayStation 4 just dropping in price over there. I expect to see a lot of cheap Switch, I suspect, as well, compared to West. A cheaper Switch in the second hand, just because it's sold so many units it's sold in Japan, that there's just so many of those copies of those games out there. And they got a pretty good culture of like swapping them around. So yeah, where everything's at and how many suitcases I'm going to need to bring home with me. I'm just going to be hitting hard offs.
Is that going to be a trip where you show up with like one bag and then you just go like have AliExpress ship you some bags to your room? And
you can get...
Where are you? So what's like your plan here for this like trip? Are you staying in hotels mostly, or like how is that going to work when you travel?
Just Airbnb, basically.
Okay, cool.
I've got the first one. It's on the south side of Tokyo, almost to Yokohama. I like the area. I know what's up. You just start taking the train, like awesome train network. Like you can just go to some bumfuck village where they've got a secondhand store, and Google Maps will get you there on public transport, and you can be a complete idiot like me and not really understand language or anything. But just follow Google Maps and it will get you there. Like their public transport is that good. It'll be like step off this platform, step off opposite platform 2 minutes later. Real good. So it's pretty. So I just stayed at Airbnbs. I'll be talking with with Kid Shoryuken, Jim. I was just talking with him. We're gonna catch up with him. And I want to make videos as well.
That'd be awesome.
I've got some ideas for some concepts I want to do. I don't want to just do like blogging every day. Like here's day one, here's day two. I want to shamelessly copy some of Jim's videos. So his ones where he goes into hard off and he does I just love them. Like they're put together so well. He's got a little montage and then he looks at them for the right amount of time. And then later on he sits back with a beer and does the voiceover, and he's so good at them that I just want to try doing one video in his style just to see for myself, can I get anything near, because he's been doing it for 10 years, right? He's so good at them, Jim. So yeah, just making some styles of videos, making these hunt videos, and just enjoying some time to myself in Japan, just chilling out. And I want to take a lot of videos, want to be running my Instagram, my Twitter the whole time, showing everyone what's up.
Yeah, so I would suggest taking some videos and throwing this in the middle of your hunt videos. Go to some of those goofy vending machines.
Oh, yeah.
That no one in the United States has ever seen. Mm-hmm. And just show yourself ordering some crap and put that in between your transitions to hunts or something.
Yeah, okay. There's a lot of B-roll. True.
Yes, and I'm like, because
I
there was this weird time in YouTube where I would just watch those guys show off those ordered weird things from machines. So I'm excited to see this. I was kind of hoping you say that you're going to spend one night in one of those like capsule motels.
Yeah, okay, something crazy.
So I
like
didn't know. Have you heard of those things? Or
sure.
those?
They have all sorts of weird.
Okay.
Like maybe I've got to make a trip over to. Anyway, I might trip around. So maybe I just need I'll just be me and like a Super Famicom and a Genesis in the capsule. Oh, I love
you just need to get the Shanks. If you can get it past customs or the border entry. The lag testing kit. You'll be in the pod all night testing lag.
Yes.
On the flat screen.
I'll take the time sleuth with me. I've got the time sleuth. I'll talk to Vlad. Hopefully he'll let me borrow it for the trip.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, I'll be time sleuth and stuff. Because I showed a picture on my Twitter this week of a Japanese guy that goes to a lot of these stores. And at some of the stores, they actually have not only their amazing secondhand, then they've got the junk bins, which half the stuff probably works. Like if it doesn't look good, they put it into the junk bin. But some of them also have workbench tables set up with power and all the plugs and USBs. So you can take it from the junk, give it a bit of a go, and test. I used to walk around with a USB battery and like a DS charging cable and a USB. And then you just have these racks of like DSs and you flick through them. You pull one out and then I could put the charger in and see, okay, it powers up. Maybe it's just the battery. So yeah, you got to have these little efficiencies, for testing stuff along the way. It's amazing. I can't wait to show you guys
awesome.
about what we're doing over there.
I'm gonna be jealous because of that, and then the food. See, I like Japanese style. I like sushi and things like that. So I don't know. Will you be eating any of that stuff?
Yeah, I'm into it. I like as well because when you eat loads of like little takeaway stores, you pay with the vending machine or the ticket machine. So there's a big machine out the front, like, and it's got a picture of the thing and the button. And you like, I want the ramen with the extra egg, and then 2 tickets come out, and then you just hand the 2 tickets to the chef guy, and he gives you back your food, so you don't have to talk to no one in the whole way. Which I live in Northern Europe, I'm used to not talking to no one. So I've been living in the former Soviet republics. I'm like, I know what it's like for no one to talk to me. I'm cool with that. So
is there like local food in that area that you've gotten used to, or anything like odd that shows up a lot? Some, I don't know, any examples of some local cuisine there? And
not too much. They have some of these these little, like, there is a good example of their local food. The Estonian people tell you about the Baltic herring. So there's some little herring fish or some shit, and it's in the Baltic Sea, and it's like, oh, it's our traditional food. It's like a goddamn cockroach of the sea. They have so little that is unique around here. So it's just like German food, maybe a little bit of heavy cabbage, stuff like that. They're nothing like outrageous. Like you're like, oh my God, that's so traditionally Estonian. Want some dark bread. Like they don't have white bread very much. It's really dark bread. It's Northern European stuff. So God bless them.
The opposite would be Japanese, where you're going to get like this insane culture of food. We've talked about this early on, but my wife lived over there for 3 years, and she would just tell me the crazy, things that they would get served. So it's, I'm excited to see some of that stuff too. So you're going to keep a close watch on your social media
and I'm planning
accounts.
everything, and I know I'm over planning. I've been obsessing over which lapel microphone to buy. Because I want the ones I've got never seem to work for me. And I asked you about your setup, I asked Jim about his setup, and I found the lapel mic I wanted to buy, and I think my mate here in Thailand is selling it at his media store, so I'm going to go talk to him tomorrow. It's like Deity W Lav Pro, and it should be about $120. And it's hard to I wanted the best lav for about $100 with a 3.5mm jack on the end.
So that's what I've been using one, and I've been fine with it until I actually got this. I've been rolling with this GoPro, and it lets me put a mic right into it, a lav mic right into it. So I've actually been using this cheap Sony lav mic that I bought years ago. With that, and it's been working fine so far.
Yours went so fine,
yeah, and then so that's with the camera, but before then I had been using this. So I got this one. I got the manual for it right here in front of me. It's this Tascam DR10L, and it goes 3.5mm in, but you're just getting audio. And it does a great job. It's got a good mic and things, but you're just then you got to go in and the good thing I like about doing it directly with the camera is it saves me a step.
Yes,
of
I do
uploading.
That now as well.
Of uploading the darn audio with a separate audio file, right, and then linking them. I mean, it's not a huge step, but it is a step.
Oh, it's much easier, I think,
and then not having to actually flip around and record it. So, I don't know. I'm intrigued by some of the wireless stuff that's come out now that you can also this one. That's what I thought. There was a wireless setup that goes from, to the. And then you can hook that directly from that.
Right, I have one of those.
You do? Okay.
Wait, let me show you that. This is what I've been using.
So that's one of the things I had been wondering about.
Because my problem with lavs and lapel mics is that I hear you sound fine. I hear listen to Jim Kijirukin, and I'm like, you sound great. Jim, what do you do? And he's like, I just boost the volume, nothing. And every time I put a lav on myself, it sounds like dog shit. And is it just me hearing my voice wrong? But
which one are you using though?
I'm almost not using one. I'm mostly trying to stick to this mic. Also, this room. I know this room is a bit tinny in general. obviously because of the brick walls. But I can't work out whether I just not using the lav mic right or whether I can't stand to hear my own voice or something. So,
do you think it comes off too loud, or is it too soft, or what?
It doesn't sound
pick up too much background
doesn't pick
noise?
up well enough. If I put the lav mic in front of me and I speak directly to it, it sounds all fine. But when it's positioned
yeah, you might
here,
need to turn the volume up a little and see if that
maybe.
works.
But then, all right. So I've got
And then
this
if
thing.
you shout,
right?
it red lines out. Okay.
So
Yeah.
this is the
okay.
Comica. So this is the receiver box, and this one sits on the shoe of your camera, and
Right.
then the output goes into the mic, and then I've got this box here. I've got two of these. They're the receivers.
And they clip to you.
So either if you want, you can clip it here, and it's got its own microphone, but it's pretty
Yeah.
big, right?
That is pretty
Like,
big.
It's pretty
But
big.
they're all pretty big, like the ones that are like that, and they all look like a square.
Or you can use this. You can just plug the mic. You can plug the lapel.
Okay, so you can then plug that onto like your hip or something and run
Correct.
the lapel, whatever you want
Yes.
up here. Yeah, that's the
Correct.
way to go.
That's what I've been doing. Directly
Okay.
into the camera.
Okay. Yeah, I
Works
think you
well.
should just, before you go and buy another one, you should spend 20 minutes adjusting the volumes and recording them and seeing if you can get it to work.
Yeah, I will. But the thing is that this thing, I would want to
But
plug
I've not seen that one.
I'd want to plug. I don't want to use this mic. I want to
No.
plug a lapel into this.
So you don't
I
have
need
a
a better
lapel?
lapel. Yeah, I need a better lapel. Anyway.
Yeah, let me see how much that Sony lapel mic is, because that's the one I've been. I bought it because it was the cheapest, best performing Sony lapel mic, and I don't even know. It doesn't even. Okay, yeah, it's the Sony Compact Stereo Lavalier microphone, ECM LV1. It's $30.
Jeez. Every
$30,
time
but-
I've used a $30 lav, I sound like crap. Wow.
Yeah,
and your one sounded fine.
$30. Yeah, and it's. I hadn't been using it till I saw another YouTuber use it, because I'd just been using the one that came with the Tascam one. But that
sounds
one,
fine.
yeah, but that one is like, what happened is the cable started getting frayed, and now I'm concerned with it because the replacement one of those is like $90. Like those are a higher end one, like the actual nice ones. So I just think that the Sony one is like the best value one you can get for $30. That sounds okay enough. It doesn't sound, now I'm going to admit you to this. The sound is not as high a quality as it was with my lapel using and then putting it up there, because the microphone's better quality, but it's not enough for me to worry about it, I think. I mean, I do have to always change the levels because I come up too
Sure,
hot.
of course. Yeah.
But
well, me too. But then I always
yeah.
I'll keep
But
trying.
I've tried directional mics, and I always, immediately go walk away from the mic and say something, and you drop out, and you're like, damn, I wish I would have just wore the lapel and not moved out
So I
of
want
the
one for
range.
Japan, because I think I'm not sure how much gear I'm going to take with me. The camera, sure, some recording device, but I want to carry as little as possible. So if I can get a
Right.
lapel that will cover most things for me, then that would be really good, and that'd be worth it for me to get a good one. Yeah, I'm interested in walking around and like giving some concept, like my thoughts on something, and or the stores or the market or what it's like in Japan or the countryside. Let's see. So.
Yeah, you'll come across interesting moments, especially being by yourself for such a
Dude, I'm
wild
going to get
time.
you know what?
There's
Roger's
gonna be
going to bully
times
me.
You're going to be like,
I'm going to see some shit. Everything I see, Roger's first of all going to get an erection.
Right.
Secondly, he's going to bully me to buy it. I'm going to come back with like 5 suitcases because of Roger just going, buy it.
Roger's like sending me $300 listings for that old TV he's got, like finding another one on eBay, and I'm like, Roger, I was looking at my finances this week, and I was like, oh, I'm killing myself because I just bought that GoPro this month, set up and like all the attachments. That was like $800, and then I bought some other stuff. I mean, I spent like $1,500, and then I bought two PVMs. But those are to replace other ones. But I spent $900 on 2 PVMs.
At least that's
inch.
a business expense.
Right, and it all is business expenses.
Oh,
but
it's all business expense.
Well, all those are like the cameras, all that stuff's part of the business.
True.
So it's an investment in, and it goes against the year-end bottom line. But at the same time, it's like, good grief, I'm all out of this. And Roger's like, come on, he'll take it for like $50 less from you. Buy it. I'm like, stop it. I'm maybe a different time of year than right before Christmas. And so like looking at houses and trying to buy a house and like, I don't need to go blow money on a TV that I literally, again, will just sit there and make a video on, and it'll sit in my collection and not be used.
Right. What to do with that? Is it our job to save every homeless TV? Or does some just have to go? Like, can't get everything. I want everything, but I can't get everything.
Well, and Roger's getting good use out of his. He's playing the heck out of his, so that's cool. But, I'll be interested to see what he'll be trying to convince you to buy everything. But see, you don't live in the United States. If I went over there, he'd probably try to get me to buy it and send it to him.
Yeah, true. Give you some dealer all of a sudden, ship it in back black market stuff, black market Famicom imports.
So I would like to know, because I get personally intimidated when I go in and I see like the Famicom or the Super Famicom section of cartridges. Because I have no idea about what the game is 99%.
Oh, the Japanese,
of the time.
when you see Japanese writing.
Yeah, so I go in and I find somewhere that has a huge collection of them. And for me, it's mostly overwhelming because I have no idea what each one of these games is. And it's even worse, I feel like, when it's a huge one. Because I'm like, I don't know what any of them is.
Right, the graphics are also often not the same label, not the same graphics. So you wouldn't even, if it's the same game.
So, like, what's your approach? Do you have a lot of this already? Or
just know it, I think, over time. So, because this is like my 5th trip now. And that means I've been through many hard-off stores just looking. Maybe I've got to look stuff up on my phone, or you just watch enough YouTube videos on the topics as well after a while, so one to the next one. Also, I subscribe to the mailing list. Like, there's a lot of eBay sellers, Japanese, like eBay and other guys who are selling this stuff, and if you want to buy it at maybe a 50% or even more markup, but they'll send it to you and send you a good copy of it. Subscribe to their newsletters, and you can just, there's one, J4U, I think, is one of them. And they'll send like today's Nintendo 64 catalog, and I'll have some of them. And then I'll click on the price and just see like, oh yeah, that cartridge has gone up €5. Nice. Okay. So by watching Japanese sellers' newsletters, I'm actually keeping on top of like, how's the market going? So I'm keen to go there and see what the market is actually like compared to how we are internationally. I mean, obviously when you're on the ground, stuff's so much cheaper. And you're likely to find that random bargain. It's that rare game for 100 yen or something like that. It still happens.
Are you expecting? I'm wondering if you're going to see arcade stuff more. Since I don't know, I heard that a lot of those arcades went out of business over the last 18 months.
That's interesting. They tend to just have consumer stuff, but you never know what's going to turn up.
I know.
There. So
I wonder. That's what I was telling you. I mean, I think you might over that time period see some stuff that's not normally available for sale, probably. At least to be cool to see.
Yeah, what comes through. So I love cataloging this stuff. I'm not really a games guy. I'm not really like, I probably won't do the games video where I like pull out a game. I'm like, oh, look at this one. I'll talk about this. Then put it back. I'm not really that sort of game collector kind of guy.
Right.
I'll be more likely to do it at the junk shelf and going through the interesting bits and bobs on a junk shelf and then explaining what these crazy parts are that we've just found in the back of the store. That, I think, is something I might be into.
It's much more fun to, see unique and maybe weird, cheap, just, dead hardware from, peripherals that it's probably in a bin over there that you can, look through and say, look at what the heck? It's that's way more, interesting than just, flipping through games of just a shelf.
At least for me, at least for us, right? We're that style. We want to dig through the junk
hardware.
pile. We want to find good stuff.
And it's nothing on that, but like you say, I'm sure there's plenty of videos of people already showing off the game.
Yeah, Jim does that already. Right. That's exactly what his does. So, I'm going to make the same style of video. I want to make exactly the same style as Jim, but make it of me just going to the junk pile instead. So like all good YouTubers, I'm not plagiarizing, just highly being influenced.
I think that's kind of a ridiculous thing to say if you somebody. I was watching a video and somebody was talking about how they were being having their like intellectual property stolen because someone was doing videos all like similarly to theirs, and I was like, that is such a petty and ridiculous thing. Even if that's going on, right? You're supposed to be like, hey, what is a better compliment than someone?
Yeah. What everyone's like, it's gonna happen, right? It's gonna.
And it's
happen.
like, yeah, it's something real vague, right? It's like, oh my gosh, this guy, he just made a channel and he's starting to make videos about repairing CRTs. He's like totally stolen my gig. Can you believe it? That's what I would be saying. Bitter old Steve Grandpa.
Dude, something I said last night to my colleague, all right? You can steal the recipe, doesn't mean you can bake the cake.
Doesn't mean anything.
Okay? Doesn't mean you might have the recipe. Doesn't matter.
Hey, everybody's even giving you the recipe by making a video. You can go out and emulate it to the
right.
I wish.
Doesn't mean you can't bake that Steve cake, baby.
And this might be a good video or a good YouTube, but see, I think that people probably are too sensitive nowadays. But imagine if there was a fun channel that was literally once a week was just a parody of random, sketch comedy remake, like of all these YouTube videos, and like try to make them funny or weird or go off the rails.
Highlights of the week, sure.
But almost in a way that like the old Saturday Night Live style of something, where it's. But again, then you're kind of. I feel like people now it's like too. Somebody would get upset saying they were being like targeted or bullied, I'm sure, and not be able to take the joke. Sketch comedy made about them or something. Like you say, you get upset. They're like, oh, they stole my idea.
Yeah, okay.
So
the point, Daniel Sloss has a good part about this in his recent stand-up special, and he's like, okay, he's a comedian who likes a bit of controversy. And then there are some comedians who are like, oh, no, I can't. It's too, you can't talk about things anymore. You can't talk about things. Everyone's too precious. You know what the answer is? Make a better fucking joke. If your joke was better, you can joke about it. The reason that you're getting called out is it's a bad joke. It's not a good one. I think that's a
good point. That's a very good point. There's things
Are you really getting canned for a good joke. No. Or if it is a good joke, stand by it. If it's a good joke, stand by it then, But if it's not, then you didn't deserve it. Fuck you.
Yeah. That's the thing, right? If you're going to go down that path of being like Andrew Dice Clay, then stick to it, right?
Don't whack it. You're not there. You're a surgeon. Don't just whack things over their head and go, people were upset by what I said. Thump. No. Yeah. Have a little poise. Have a little graze. Do things a little bit intelligently. Then, yes, you absolutely can fucking rock the boat and do it well.
Well, it's like, but either way, you got to like latch on and be kind of what you're, and if you don't want to go to some topics, there's obviously that there's not things that you and I don't want to talk about because we'll obviously I don't know anything about certain stuff, and I don't want to make myself sound like an ass.
Sure.
So it's like, oh yeah, great. No, we're here to talk about this silly stuff. So anyway, we're out here an hour and 25 minutes. What do you think? We want to keep going?
Maybe I'll call it a day. I think, what do we got? We got almost 6 o'clock. Time to get all food. We got another show happening tonight, so I might cruise down
you do?
there. Yeah, just a small one, like 80 people. It's sold out, so it's all, and it's the second night, so we just have to roll up, turn the lights on, do the show. So yeah, I might do that. But it's good to talk with you, man. God, it's been.
Yeah.
I hope in the next couple of weeks we've got more of a chance to. I'll be at home for the next few weeks as well. I hope we got a chance more to do it.
Yeah, if we go next week after this weekend, we'll be able to talk about another basketball practice, and we'll see how that goes in preparation for Game 1.
We gotta know,
We're the Knights, and I'm not sure who I'm facing yet, but I'll let you know.
No, we're gonna know strategy, what drills you're running the kids through. Okay, the psychological long game that you're playing with them.
Yeah, some kids like, hey, coach. This kid over the other side, right? During the first practice, I'm trying to talk about offense for 10 minutes. Hey, coach, am I supposed to be standing here doing nothing? And I'm like, you're supposed to be listening like I've been telling you. Listen. And that way, when you get your turn, you'll know what to do. And so it's like, I realized right away that I need to start with the kids that are like get them the focused ones that aren't the ones that are over there.
Sure.
Like try starting with them first, and the ones that are kind of already understand the concepts, let them to be the ones to watch. They might actually be able to observe more And since this person's doing it, they'll stay involved. So
Play to your audience.
We're
going
to try that strategy next week, and we'll see how that goes.
You got a game plan. That's good, man. All right.
Yeah.
It's cool. All right. I'm keen to see the
We're
next update.
we're making the next generation of leaders and men here.
It's beautiful. All right. Thanks, Jocko. Okay.
All right, brother.
Okay, mate. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Appreciate you getting